Hello everyone, welcome to my channel. In this video, we would be studying about the logical operators, identity operators and membership operators in the Python programming language. So starting with the logical operators, Python consists of three logical operators which are AND, OR and NOT, and these are written as it is. That means these are keywords written in small case letters. Now what is the function of each of these? I'll be telling you in a little detail in a while, but before that you must know that the result of performing a logical operation is always either true or false. That means the result will always be Boolean, and any value that exists in Python or a variable containing a value will always evaluate to true unless that variable stores a none value or that variable is false. That means it has been assigned the Boolean false, or if that value or variable is 0, or the last case is if a variable is an empty collection, that means an empty string or an empty set, empty dictionary, empty list and so on. So apart from all these cases, any value or any kind of variable that stores a value will always be considered as Boolean true. Okay, and what are the false values? I have told you all these: the value none, the false value itself, 0 and empty collections. Okay, now coming to identity operators. Identity operators basically deal with the ID function that we had discussed in the previous videos. ID function basically tells where in the memory a particular variable is located, and whenever we compare two variables or objects using the identity operators, we are actually asking the Python shell if both these variables refer to the same object in memory or not. Okay, so we'll be studying these identity operators also in this video. Now the last category that would be taken care of in this video is the membership operators. As you can understand from the name, the membership operators tell whether a particular value is a member. That means whether it is a part of a given collection or a given sequence or not. That sequence or collection can be a list, it can be a string, or any of the collection data types that we have studied in the previous lectures. Okay, so starting with the logical operators, the first logical operator is the logical AND, denoted by three letters in the lower case alphabet. Okay, now whenever you compare or whenever you perform logical AND between any two values, the result would be true only when both those values are true. Otherwise, in all the other cases, the result would be false. That means whether a single value is true and the second one is false, or vice versa, or when both the values are false, are logically false, then the answer to the logical AND operation would be false. Okay, so let's see here. True and true, that means both the values are true. These are Boolean values, therefore the result of logical AND operator is true. Now we use, in the second example, we use two variables, num1 which is assigned the value 10 and num2 assigned the value minus 20. Though this is a negative value, but it is still a true value, logically true value. Okay, so when you perform the logical AND operation between num1 and num2, you get the answer as Boolean true. Now coming to the third example, when you perform logical AND between true and false, you get the answer as false. Similarly, when you compare num3 with num1, num3 has the value 0 and num1 had the value 10. So since num3 is false, that means this value 0 represents the Boolean value false. That is why the result of the AND operation is false. And the last case, when both the values are false, then in that case also the result is false. Now coming to the logical OR operator. Unlike the logical AND operator, the logical OR operator evaluates to true when any of the one values is true or when both the values are true. Okay, so in the case when both the values are true, the answer would be true, and whenever even one of the two values is true, then also the answer would be true. The only case when the answer would be false will be when both the values evaluate to the false value. Okay, now coming to the last logical operator, that is the NOT operator. Logical NOT basically reverses the state or truthness of the operand. If a value is originally true, then applying the NOT operator on that value would reverse it to false and vice versa. So if num1, which stored value 10, it is actually true, it evaluates to the boolean value true. Now when we apply NOT operator in front of this value in front of this variable num1, then when you see the result, you get the opposite boolean value, which is the false. That means it negates the existing truthness of the value. If the value was originally false, it will then evaluate to true when NOT operator is applied in front of it. Okay. Now coming to identity operators, there are two identity operators. The first one is called is, okay, and the second one is called is not. Now this identity operator is basically checking whether the two variables or whether the two objects are same or not. That means whether they point towards the same memory location or not. Okay, so if the two operands that are being tested using this operator are pointing to the same memory location, then the result would be true, otherwise it would be false. Okay, so you can also say that if the ID, that means when you calculate the ID of both the operands that are being tested, and the values of those ID come out to be same, then the answer would be true, otherwise it would be false. Okay, so now let's see. Num1 is a variable assigned an integer value 5, and num2 is assigned the value that is contained in num1. Now in the previous lectures we have seen that in this kind of assignment operation, both num1 and num2 would point to the same memory location that would contain the value 5. Okay, so this would be something like this in memory, and they would point to the same location that would have the value 5. So in this case, the ID of num1 and the ID of num2 would be exactly the same. Therefore, when you evaluate num1 is num2, when you ask the Python shell this question, it will give you the answer as true, that yes, both these variables or both these objects are pointing to the same memory location and their IDs are also the same. Now is not again tells you whether the two objects are not pointing to the same location. Okay, so this particular identity operator evaluates to true when both the operands point to different values in the memory, and when both the variables point to the same values, it evaluates to false. Okay, so here in this case num1 and num2 are pointing to the same value. So when we evaluate is not operator on it, since both these objects point to the same memory location, therefore the answer of is not identity operator would be false. All right, now coming to the last set of operators, which are the membership operators. So the membership operators, they basically they define whether a particular value is present in a given sequence or a collection or not. Okay, so if a value is present in the given sequence, then the in operator would evaluate to true. The first operator is the in operator, and this would evaluate to true. It would return true when a particular value is present in the given collection. So if we have a list which is a sequence data type or a collection of items, and it contains 3 items, 1, 2 and 3. So when we check whether 2 is present in this list A, the result of this operator would be true, because actually 2 is a member of this particular collection named A. Alright, now when we say is the string 1 present in A, then the answer would be false. So you have to be very careful about the questions you are asking and the answer that it would result in. Here it is not an integer 1, here it is a string which contains the number 1. Okay, since the list A contains numeric 1 and not string having the number 1, therefore this will evaluate to false. So string 1 is not a member of this particular list named A. Now when you evaluate the same string using the not in operator, you would get true. That means not in operator will return true when a particular element or a particular object or value is not present in that particular sequence. So if A is again a list which has 3 members 1, 2 and 3, and we ask 10 not in A, then yes, 10 is not a member of A and 10 is not present in A. So this will evaluate to true. Okay. So these were the identity, membership and logical operators in Python. In further videos, we would be studying about expressions and how to evaluate them, precedence of operators and so on. So stay tuned to these lecture series. If you have any doubts, let us know in the comment section below. If you understood the video, let us know that too in the comment section below. Press the like button and subscribe to the channel for more such videos. Thank you so much for watching. Till we meet in the next video, mind your exam.